How to choose a niche as a multi-passionate creative. If you have trouble really niching down because you get easily bored talking about just one thing, or maybe there's just so many different topics that you want to talk about and you want to offer as services in your business that you feel a little bit stuck, this video is for you. So I am the kind of person that gets easily bored and I have mastery in a lot of different fields. In fact, multi-passionate creatives get our mastery from studying very deeply many different topics and then creating our own niches. And when we're told from other business coaches or social media that we have to niche down for the algorithm to favor us, or we have to niche down for people to be able to find us, this can send us into a lot of confusion. I know that I have fallen into that trap. Let me share with you sort of what happened with me and what I'm seeing can be really a confusing thing for people that are multi-passionate. So 14 years ago, I started the Universe Guru channel, which is my other channel. And at this time, 14 years ago, no one was talking about niching down. At least I wasn't aware of it. No one was saying, you had to talk about one topic for the algorithm. Like we didn't even know about the algorithm. So I started talking about that channel, the thing that was most alive for me. And I had just become, a stay-at-home mom. I just had my second baby. I had just lost my mom. And my only objective, like at that time, was to find other women to connect with. I felt kind of heartbroken for my mom's passing. And so I started just sharing content, like just showing up, whatever was alive, right? Um, if I bought something exciting, I shared about that. If I, was going through something, I shared about that. And eventually, we moved, I got diagnosed with RA. I started sharing about that. And I got so many followers from people who also had autoimmune disease that wanted to learn about that. Then I healed my autoimmune disease and started talking about inner work. And a lot of people started resonating with that. And then I became a life coach and started, helping people with like life issues and life coaching. And then I got a whole bunch of people from that. So, what I'm trying to say here is that people like us that study a lot of disciplines, that are interested in a lot of things, we're not always the type of people that can just niche down and talk about one thing. But if you really zoom in and look closely, there is a niche to me because of my personal values. Like if you look at the trend of my 14 years, I really value personal growth. I really value learning and education. I really value self-awareness. I really value family and faith. So even though my topics for the last 14 years have changed over the years, the continuing theme is my personal core values. So I tend to attract people that are my ride or die, that have been with me for years, that have similar core values to me, that really love watching me. They feel like they're my friend. They resonate with a lot of things I say. And even if they don't, they're very curious because they know that they resonate with a lot of other things that I've said, and they are at least contemplating the things that I'm saying and having a discussion with me. Now, during this process, I also attracted people that were only there for that one era that I was in. So, for the 3 or 4 years that I was talking about lifestyle and nutrition and autoimmune things, some people came in just for that. And when I stopped talking about that, they left, but many didn't. Many were like, okay, well, we're healed now in this. Let's move on to whatever next we're working on. Because those people also had that core personal value, like I do, of like personal evolution and growth over a lifetime. So, what I'm saying is that the whole topic of you are the niche, it becomes like your personal values are the niche. Because even us as like multi-passionate creatives, we do have this underlining thing happening where whatever are our personal values will keep coming even though we're changing niches. So I can call this like an umbrella niche. And so you can have an umbrella niche, which I didn't like define this, or I feel like it's so much harder for people these days in some ways and easier in others. Like, because I wasn't told I had to do it a certain way, which is really difficult for us multi-passionates. We're rebels, right? Like, we don't want to be told you have to follow this 5-step formula. At least I don't. I don't like to be told there's only one way of doing something. Like, those things just go against my core beliefs and how I function in the world. So I think from that point of view, it's harder when you're receiving those messages. But here's the thing, even though I have a small, relatively smaller audience for someone that's been creating content for 14 years, right? There's people that have come in the last year, 2 years, that have millions of subscribers, right? But the audience that I do have has been with me through many years and many seasons. And so there's just a different level of resonance and trust. Now, what newer people that are like focused and they have a niche, they will grow faster when it comes to numbers because they can just talk about one thing all the time and the algorithms do favor that, right? But the thing is, if I had to do that, I wouldn't have had the longevity that I have. So people like me, if we're forced to talk about one thing, we get bored and we feel trapped. I know I feel very trapped if I'm ever put in a position where I don't have freedom of movement. So would I have lasted 14 years on YouTube if, I had to do it that way? No. So I'm going to do it the way that will give me staying power. And here's the main thing, my growth hasn't been linear. It's been non-linear, but it's been exponential in the things that I value, right? So for me, I don't really value millions of followers. I value deep connection and conversations, which I feel like for me are easier to have with a more curated kind of like boutique experience. So that I really value that and I have that. I also really value being able to speak what's true for me and authentic for me and alive for me. I want to feel alive in my business. I want to feel like nourished by it. And that's how I feel every day. In those moments where I got, you know, messages from business coaches and things that I had to niche down, those were the periods in my life where I felt the least excited about my business. Like I wasn't excited about it because it felt started feeling like a chore. And I don't know about you, but I didn't start my business or my online creation journey to be feeling like I'm in a 9 to 5 job. Like that's not what I value. I like freedom. I like to be creative. I see myself as an artist, and so I had that longevity, that passion, that aliveness, that enjoying my work every single day through being able to have freedom of movement. And so while I might not have, quick growth, not like linear growth, I have non-linear growth, but I have exponential growth in the things that I value. So the money that I make far exceeds a lot of people with millions of followers. The satisfaction that I get from my business, the aliveness, like, most people wish that they could feel that way in their life. So don't just focus on other people's metrics or what they value, right? Like, for example, like I've hired different people over the year for different things, and I've hired business coaches that really valued a certain metric, but when I really thought about it, I don't really value that metric. So it didn't make sense to bring them on and have them, try to get me to value something that I just don't value, right? And at the end of the day, if I don't value that thing, if I won't have staying power with it, I'm not having fun with it, am I really going to make more money with it, right? Like, probably not. And I don't want to make money that's miserable. I want to make money that's alive. I get such a like high is the word, like ecstasy from working with the right people. Like I come alive from the rapid transformation that I'm able to provide for my clients. And that means it's not the masses, it's a certain type of client that's similar to me. So if I'm making content for everyone, that client is not really going to be magnetically attracted to me. Why do I know this? It's because when I'm following people and I can sense that they're making content for the average person, even if I like that person, I'm not going to buy anything from them because my mind instantly goes to, are they really even talking to someone at my level? Are they really talking to the creative, the multi passionate, the rebel, the breaker, right? The non linear growth person? Or are they talking to someone that needs to be like motivated just to get out of bed every day, or like motivated to take the first step? Because if I can run circles around their ideal client, then I'm not their ideal client. So that turns me off. And because my clients are high achievers, driven, they're very self motivated, they're self led, they're multi passionate, they have mastery in like non linear growth. I can't be talking to the masses, right? So I don't need millions of people. I need the right people that are like, yes, she gets us. Like she gets me. She understands. Like she's going to be advanced level. She can hold space for me. So this is really important, that don't get sidetracked and pulled into all of these different directions by people that have a different core audience than you, or don't even know what they're doing. They're just following the algorithm, and they keep like creating content for the person that, the algorithm. Basically, they're not really maybe even speaking to a certain type of audience. They're just getting clicks and followers. Okay, unless that's what you want. If that's what you want, you can definitely hack the system. And so the hack that I would recommend is, if you're like me and you get obsessed with a topic for a time frame, use that obsession to create content that is similar, or like the algorithm will like, right? That's niche down, and you'll have fast growth. However, just know that after coaching and working with so many people worldwide at all levels, even people with millions of followers that weren't making any money and were unhappy in their business. In fact, a lot of people with millions of followers are often in the red, because it takes a lot to run an expensive channel like that with millions of followers, and their millions of followers don't always convert into income. And so what I've seen is that a lot of those people feel trapped, because now every time they make a video about something different than what they initially was making, like what they have channel authority on, all of a sudden the algorithm doesn't promote that video. Their subscribers don't necessarily like that video, and they get a very tiny percentage of the views that they would have gotten if they just stuck to the niche. And this keeps them so stuck, because they'll make a video about the thing they might want to make a video about, won't get views, people will be upset, people will be unsubscribing, they'll get scared, they'll start making that content, but then they burn out. These are the people that like either disappear off of YouTube or social media, or take really long breaks, or you can tell that they're just not having fun anymore, and their content becomes kind of lackluster. Meanwhile, people like us that are multi passionates, we might not be getting millions of views, but the people that are showing up are so aligned, so resonating, that your conversion rate is going to be so much higher. And what do I mean by conversion rate? I mean, if you're a creative, if you are, you're a spiritual entrepreneur, obviously you want people to sign up for your services and your programs. That's what makes you happy. That's what makes you come alive. You like helping people, you like changing people's lives through your art, right? So if they're not even if they're just watching, you're just entertainment, right? And here's the thing, 90% of the human population, I would say even more, they just want entertainment. They're not there to invest in themselves, they're not there to grow, right? It's the creatives, the multi passionates, the artists, the entrepreneurs that spend money on personal growth. We're the people that invest. So, would you rather have 2 million views on a video, right, on a topic that you don't, just went viral, or you don't necessarily want to talk about for the rest of your life, or 2,000 views but like thousands of people bought your thing? Like, maybe if you had 2,000 views and 500 people bought, like, wouldn't you rather have that than like 2 million views and a lot of hater comments, and now you're like feeling like you have to make content just like that, right? So there is a place for viral content. Like, I've had things go viral that brought in a whole bunch of troublemakers and haters and all that stuff, but a few thousand people that stuck around. But that's different. I wouldn't keep just making that content. What I love doing is content like this. I like talking about deep things. I like really having a one-on-one discussion with the right one person, versus making things that is gonna go viral. Cat videos go viral. People are not buying products and services from cat videos, right? I'm not gonna jump on that bandwagon and start making cat videos. Like, that makes no sense. I'm not interested in that. And therefore, I'm not going to have any longevity when it comes to that topic. If you have a service or a product, like if you have, maybe you do readings or you have a coaching business or you have a product that you sell, think of that product and then ask yourself, what is alive in me right now that I want to talk about? Whatever is alive for you, whatever you're obsessed about at the moment, whatever you are like really passionate about, talk about that thing. And at the end, just tie it to that product or make a product for every era. So I'm laughing because I have over 130 courses and multiple books, so many things because I've had so many eras. And so I never have and I'm not saying you have to create that much, that many products. This is just my art. I love doing it. I don't even care if people don't buy the products. Like, that's not why I created them. I had to create them. Like, that art was inside of me and I needed to get it out. And of course, when I'm so passionate about something and I love it, people tend to buy. But even if they did it, I'm being like perfectly honest with you, it doesn't matter. Okay. I have courses that are like cult favorites that like sell out, like people just love them. And I also have some courses that were kind of like meh, right? But I still had to create them. I really did. So I never worried about who's going to buy what. It's just like what needs to be created? What's the art, right? But because I let myself kind of go in the direction that was alive for me, I now have so many products. So when I'm feeling a certain type of mood, I'm like, ooh, okay, I'm gonna have this conversation and tie it back to this product. Or if I'm in a different mood, right? I never have to say, oh, I'm not high vibe today, so I can't sell anything. Like, I have something for every mood you can imagine. I have something for every era that my ideal client might be in because I've allowed myself to just pour out that art. Now, if you only have one product or one service right now, that's great. Just learn how to tie that to the product. And to be quite honest with you, when people really resonate with your core values, when they really resonate with you as a person, even if the thing doesn't tie to that, the people that are interested will still buy it. I've had people buy my parenting course and say, I'm not even a parent and I don't even know if I want to have a kid, but I'm just very much interested to know what you think about parenting, or I just want to buy everything you launch. So even though they're not even into parenting, because they really resonate with me as a human and my personal values, there's still people buying that. So I might show up today and talk about I don't know, like the fact that this is real, like I'm redecorating my entire house. And then at the end, mention that I have a parenting course and a ton of people will go buy the parenting course, even though redecorating your house has nothing to do with parenting. But if I wanted to, I could have tied it. I could say, how I manage redecorating my entire house while homeschooling my kids and running an 8-figure business, and then talk about my parenting course. So I could, if I wanted to, I could tie it. And that's a way that you can like have non-linear growth. Like, let me tell you, I have had clients and have clients even currently on both sides of the spectrum. People with millions of followers that make barely any money. They make 6 figures a year, but their expenses to run their channel is way more than that. And I also have clients with 500 followers that are making 6-figure months. And you might be like, huh, how is this possible? Because the people that they have are so like in it, right? With them. Um, they're really like signing up for this person's core values. They're really interested in everything that this person talks about. And so when that person like launches something, 200 people from the 500 buy it, versus if the influencer one with the millions of followers launches something, maybe a couple people buy it because the rest of the people are there just to be entertained. That's what 90%, if not more, of the human population, they're just consuming content to be entertained. They're not there to invest in themselves. They're not there to grow. That's not a value of theirs. So this is why Don't worry about having to niche down. Believe me that even if you try not to niche down, eventually you are niche down. Just like I said about personal values, because Mina Irfan at this point is a niche. Like, if when you think of me, there are subconscious things that you assign to me. The brain is just wired that way, right? Whether you think of me consciously in those ways or not, it doesn't even matter, right? So when you have certain things that you're interested in, you think of me. And when I launch anything regarding that or have a product, that's the first person you're going to go to, regardless of how niche down someone else is over me. So I really want you to not worry about this and let yourself create the things that you want to create. Now, one thing I will add to this is that being multi passionate and a multi passionate creative doesn't mean you're haphazard. It doesn't mean you're all over the place. I think that sometimes those two things get confused together. So, when I started my YouTube journey, I'm just kind of giving you an example of this. I was at that time just looking to connect to people, right? So I was just making content that was true and alive at that time. And I did that for a couple of years until I got diagnosed with RA, or actually 18 months I did that. And then I got diagnosed with RA and started making content about nutrition and lifestyle and autoimmune stuff. But I did that for several years. And then I started talking about inner work and relationships and masculine and feminine energy. And I did that for several years. And then, so do you see a pattern, right? It's not that we're like one day one thing, next day something completely different, the next day. That is not a multi passionate creative. That's like just being really unfocused, right? That's like letting your emotions or your moods kind of run amok versus like seeing what's really alive for you right now. What are you really passionate about? What is the thing that you can't stop learning about? What's the thing that you can't stop talking about? Like, you would call all your friends and talk about this if you knew that they would be interested in it, right? That's going to be the thing. So multi passionate doesn't mean you're all over the place. It means that your mastery comes from really zooming in on one topic at a time and then creating a whole sub niche of something that's never been created. And I did a whole video on this exact topic, which I will link here and in the description box, that will teach you how mastery as a multi passionate person is so different than mastery as like a person that learns one thing and like spends 10,000 hours, as Gladwell made famous in his book, and then just like that's their thing, right? Our thing is multiple things deeply studied, and then we create our own thing. So I have created entire sub niches that did not exist before I showed up on YouTube. I have created entire searchable keywords now that did not exist, and with hundreds of thousands of people monthly searching for those keywords, no one was searching for that. It didn't exist as a channel keyword before I started talking about it. So what I want you to understand is, as a multi-passionate, visionary, driven, ambitious, woman, you don't have to niche down. You will create your own niche. You might be in the beginning level of your journey, but you might be getting confused thinking, oh, wait, do I have to choose a niche? No, you have to create a niche, babe. And you're going to create that niche if you give yourself permission to go on those little detours, merge all of these different disciplines together, and then create a sub niche, right? There's a wonderful book called How to Steal Like an Artist. So basically, with art, it's like you might be inspired by art that existed in the past, right? Like what we would call standing on the shoulders of giants. But you're not going to just take their thing and copy it, right? That's the linear 90% of people that need to be told what to do, and someone needs to give them the formula. You're a creative, you're not like that. You might be inspired by that one artist from 18th century or whatever, and then you might see this other thing happening here, and then you might study this other thing. By the end of it, what you end up creating will be completely unique and different than anything that's ever been created. There might be this one bit inspired from here, or this one bit inspired from there, or this one bit, but what you end up creating will be far more potent and unique than anything else that was created before. That's why when you look at people that are the outliers, that are the top 1% within the top 1%, they tend to be people that studied very many different disciplines and then created something that never was created, like Oprah and Einstein and Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, right? These are people that they're not just this is my one thing, right? They studied many things, and then what they created no one else had done before. No one else had created that before. And you might see little pings of inspiration in their work from their past mentors and people they were inspired by, but no one's going to be like, oh, she's just a replica of that person, because what you end up creating is a whole new world. That's what makes you a visionary. You are the niche. You are creating the next niche. And I want you to give yourself permission to do that. Check out my mastery as a multi passionate creative video next, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.